Hey guys, here's the gear. We've got a dripping brush, as you can see. This is that Paladin I've been using lately. It's got the lotus handle, and I think it's an E knot. It'll be in the description of the video if you're curious. I'm testing to see if the tips are soft enough for me to keep it, and also if the handle is ergonomic enough for me to keep it. I'm looking for a Paladin to keep. We've got the 15, a British Aristocrat from Gillette. And this was made way long time ago. It's the open comb version of the 15. And then we're using Gillette Spoiler Blade. I've been using that the last couple times. And then this is a new soap to me, the Santa Noir from Mammoth, from House of Mammoth. You can see it's got the same Mammoth logo, but then we've got, of course, Santa's hat on there. And it was a limited release this past year in the Christmas of 2021. And it's mostly a noir type scent. From my nose that I'm smelling the dry puck. I'm not smelling too much Christmassy, and I'm kind of fine with that because there are Christmas notes that I don't really enjoy, like peppermint and a lot of pine or fir. I just don't like those, and so a lot of Christmas scents I've had to pass on. We've had this guy soaking a long time to see if maybe these tips can soften. They don't really get jelly at all. We can tell it's a 15 because it has the hollow knob there, this metal between the knob and the handle. The knurling here it's actually part of the handle, but it's not knurled, and it's flush with the knurled part. That means it's that's one of the things that makes it a 15. It's open comb, which makes it a 15. 15s are always the solid base plate, not the triangle or the diamond. That's what I meant to say, base plate. So there we go. It's a wonderful shaver. It's a great example of how open comb does not necessarily mean aggressive. You can tell my throat's bothering me a little bit today. And this spoiler is here. I'm sure he'll do fine. He's maybe on his 9th use, something like that. If you're curious, it will be in the description. And I know that the Mammoth Tusk base which is what this is going to be a great shave. Anything else? Yeah, let me get my face wet. With my face wet, we'll take a look here. It is a soap that hasn't been used very much at all. A pretty good reviewer online on Reddit talked about this and was posing some questions like, is it a Christmas scent? Is it not? And he came away knowing that it was, quite a noir type scent that's not seasonal, not tied to any particular holiday or season, but he picked up some notes that were distinctively holiday, and so we'll see if that I'm able to pick up that as well. Now the something else that you may notice. See, Mammoth released a soap called Santa Noir, and if you look at the bottom there, you can see that he's basically taken the graphic for Santa Noir. He's marked off the L to make the Santa Noir there. So Ben's got a good sense of humor. He's the guy behind Mammoth. All right, we're going to take this lightly wet brush here. We're going to load for about 35 seconds. Should be plenty. Starting at the 40-second mark, so that means we need to go to the 15-second mark on the next minute. I have to tell you guys because then I remember it myself easier. You don't really need to know, do you? more seconds, and there we go. I think a amount of water in the brush here is pretty much just right. If it were more water, then it would be more airy and bubbly, and a lot more would be dripping. If it was less, then it's not going to pick up quite as much soap. But this is one of those things where you can kind of just pick your own method. You can come at the soap with a dry brush if you want. I mean, somewhat dry. You don't want to come at it with an actually dry brush. I've got 2 days of stubble to shave off here. Yeah, I mean, I like the scent so far. We'll see how everything goes down. This brush has a little bit of density to it. And by that I mean probably higher than medium, and if it had just 10% less hairs, you wouldn't notice it, but in terms of you wouldn't think that it was needing more hairs, but I believe that would probably help it to have backbone that was a little kinder to me. Brush soaked for a nice long time, and so if soaking is going to soften up these tips, then this will be the time for it to happen. They're not prickly at all. Just a little bit some of that kind of natural tip that's ungelled. You know, not quite as soft as a very fine tip like a 3-band. You know, if I take my mind to the holidays, there are some bits in there that are kind of seeming to match that. This was a release for the wet shaving subreddit over on Reddit. If you don't know about Reddit, it is it's like a big forum system that has, they call them subs or subreddits, and those are subgroups of the main site, and those are topical. You can create your own, actually. You can think of it, when you say sub, if you're unfamiliar with that term, you could think of it as forum. You know, there's a sub for cooking. There's a sub for cooking with the Instant Pot. There's a sub for shaving. There's a sub for cigars. And by that, of course, we can switch it around and say there's a forum for cigars. And a lot of times you'll have a cigar aficionado group create their own forum system, and that's great. Nothing wrong with that at all. But what Reddit did was they kind of created a grand forum system where everybody can just kind of come, and it's kind of nice because then to keep track of all that stuff, you can just have one username, and then you're subscribed to all, you kind of bookmarked all your different areas that you like. I mean, motorcycling, biking, all kinds of hobbies, that kind of thing. There's some foul adult kind of stuff on there as well, but there's also a lot of really good stuff too. Some photos about, I think there's one called Earth Porn that's really neat. It's just gorgeous photos of our planet, of animals that and landscapes, some taken from space, some taken with a microscope, just where you look at it and you go, wow, really pretty cool. All right, get my face wet again. And that one particularly didn't choose the word porn because there's any kind of earth-related pornography there. It's an exaggeration. It's pictures of the earths and our system here that you are really excited to look at, I think is what they're going for there. All right. I think looks about right. I'm shaving a little quickly tonight, so I may not fine-tune this guy all the way. See how this brush does. Since he's very dense, sometimes it's very easy to empty out that center section of the knot. So you have to kind of cycle the suds through the parts of the brush. Like put some excess right there, and then you take the center part, put it right on top. Yeah, I'm feeling that density. Right now I like the feel of the tips okay. It's not like they're, I mean, I guess you could call them scrubby, but almost not really. They're definitely not prickly or scratchy or scritchy in any way. They just definitely don't have that jelly soft. There are some other Paladin knots that are jelly. I'm going to evaluate this Lotus handle here in comparison with the PK47. See which one I like better. That way someday if I discover a knot code that I really like, then I'll know which handle to try to find it in. I'm a member over at the wet shaving subreddit. I've mentioned it on my channel a good many times, I think. And I did see that before Christmas, Ben was releasing this scent, but I kind of thought that I've got a lot of soaps, and so I kind of have to be picky. And I didn't know if the Christmas part would jump out too much at me, or and I think I have the Santa Noir, and so I didn't really need something that was going to be super close to that. Let's see what kind of scent we get here. It's just really well blended. I don't know if there's much I can pick out, individually pieces, because everything's just, I think I like it. I can, like I said in the very beginning, and I think it still applies with what I'm smelling now, I think there are probably some light woody notes in there, maybe some like a cranberry type note, but it could just be my imagination. But I think this could go well with that season while not being so tied to it and so nichey. To me, it seems like it's a scent I could use any time of the year. But it came out on the used market. Somebody had it and decided not to keep it, and that's kind of what I decided when it was new, and you could get it on the pre-order, or you could jump on the site and try to get it when it was first released. I decided not to do that. I decided, well, I bet this is one where I'm just going to wait and watch. And then if it comes up on the secondary market for a good price, maybe I'll jump on it. And what that does is it gives you time to read people's responses to it when they actually start using it. and then you can listen to what they're saying about it and try to figure out if it matches what you like or not. All right. 2 days of growth. This blade has been working well for me. There's a tiny bit of tugging because we are dealing with a little bit of extra length. But it's just not really a bother at all. So that brush experience pretty good. I wish it would splay a little bit easier. It might be my top Paladin so far. Went to the thrift store today. I was happening by it, and so decided to go in. Been a little while. Did a little water splash on my face there. I bought I was looking for an ashtray because I've got a few pipes coming in and some pipe tobacco. I had one pipe tobacco come in today's order, and man, it does smell nice and sweet, and I think I'm really going to enjoy the sweet type tobacco offered with pipes over the cigar type tobacco that's not quite as sweet. It might be that memory of going into the old tobacco shop with my dad. I got a feeling that tobacco, that scent that I was chasing is not from the cigar part of the shop, but from the pipe tobacco part. I understand that the pipes are a little bit more of a skill. I was watching some YouTube, and a guy said that cigars are a little easier than pipes because you got to pack the pipe right and all that. Cigars kind of pre-packed for you. Now with the length already taken down really well here, this is a very comfy shave. 15 is just a beautiful piece. There are reasons why so many razor handle makers, like here's a handle from T-Bam, that company and others, not Calibri, but UFO, imitate the knurling pattern here on the Aristocrats from the UK because it's very functional. What it is you've got the ridges, the main ridges going this way, but then with those troughs there, in between each trough, they're doing tiny ridges going kind of perpendicular. And so it's almost like a dual effort there. And so it works in terms of fastening the razor to your fingers very comfortably. And then of course it's gorgeous. And so many other handle makers will duplicate in some way the Aristocrat style, Wolfman. I think it's their H1 that is that same kind of style. A little partial rinse now. So the purchases at the thrift shop today. I bought a larger air fryer. My other one was kind of smallish. It could do kind of a helping of French fries and like maybe, those cod fillets, fish fillets that are about this big. It could do 4 of them, but you'd have to overlap them some. It could really mainly do just 3 or less. 3. But this one should be able to do like the fish fillets as well as the fries all at the same time. But the smaller one was cheaper, and that's what I was going for at the time. And they did not have the larger one in the thrift shop. And I just wanted one, and I've already got my money out of it. I think I just paid $7 for the small one. But I'll probably keep it on hand because as I get my face a little bit more wet here, you may need the extra cooking space. Also got a bread machine. I think a lot of people will buy that thinking they're going to make their own bread. And we've had one years ago, but since I'm kind of by myself during the week now, and since it was just like $12, I decided to give it a try. Yeah, this lather's perfect. You see how creamy that is? Very hydrated. I was also looking for something for kind of for an ashtray for the pipes, because you have to have like a little cork in an ashtray to bang the pipe on to kind of get the ash out. You can't just tap like you do with a cigar. Oh, and I went to Home Goods recently, and for my brushes, I have my brushes, some of them on the top of this shelf, little small shelf unit, and they were all kind of getting lost. It was hard to see them because it was a flat surface. Well, I bought what is normally used as a spice rack, and it steps, and so now I've got my brushes lined up like a choir. They're on tiered steps, and boy, it's much easier to find the one I'm looking for now. And because they're elevated, I don't have to keep them kind of far apart like I was before, and so I'm able to fit more in a smaller space, or fit more in the same amount of space than I had before. So I'm not going to walk away, it seems, with any irritation from this shave. Very comfy, and the 15 is usually that way for me. And there we go, 3 passes. And looks like the 35 seconds was pretty much the perfect load, because I do have a little bit extra here. I bet I could squeeze out 2 passes from that kind of blob right there. But definitely 1 extra if I wanted to. Let's get a good rinse, and I'm about to go to bed, and so we won't do anything crazy as far as a scent. So let's take a look at that scent with my nose one last time. Yeah, there's just some interesting bits in there that I don't really think of any other soaps that come to mind. I did read his write-up about the notes, but it wasn't recent. That's enjoyable. There is definitely a, excuse me, an outdoorsy quality to the scent. A noir scent is often kind of cologne based, and classy cologne, and it's never very woody. But this one definitely has some pieces to it that are taking my mind to the outdoors, but it's very subtle. And I think they are kind of the Christmassy pieces, like I mentioned, kind of some kind of woodiness, probably toward the balsam or fir or spruce, kind of spectrum, like not like an oak or mahogany or something like that, I don't think, but not so much that I don't like it. And then there's maybe some fruitiness or something. I'll have to it'll be fun to reread the scent description. The water used was 20 milliliters for the 35 seconds of loading. In summation of the scent, I think I agree with that reviewer I talked about, where I think you could definitely find other times of the year to wear this scent, but it definitely opens its arms to thoughts of Christmas and the holidays while having a bit of classy, enjoyable shaving scent in the noir part of it, the cologne style there, with just a leaning toward those kind of a couple of different Christmas elements. There may be pieces that I didn't pick out, and of course, if you got the splash or the EDT, then there's probably more sophistication there. Soap just doesn't allow you often to receive all the notes that are intended by the maker. Here is that Paladin, and the Lotus handle is not the most ergonomic for me, but it's bigger. It seems to be bigger than the others. I wish there was kind of more to it right here, but it looks nice. I like the way it looks. This is the graphite handle, I believe, and the nut is not quite where I want it to be, but it's still, when you add everything together, it might be a good one to keep around. So we'll just this is a pretty good shave with it. It will get softer over time, but honestly, it would take hundreds of uses. And it might, with my rotation of brushes, it might take me a really long time to get that in there. The badgers do soften over time, the tips, and that's actually where the gelling of the tips got its source, because the badgers, if you have like one badger brush or two of them and you use them for like 15 years, they will gradually start to kind of take on a natural gel to them. And it was seeing that happen, and somebody several years ago, or 10, 12 years ago, 15, I don't know, somebody said, wait a minute, what if we treated chemically these tips? And like, for instance, this Simpson, and I'm sure this Paladin was treated as well, just not very much. How long you leave the bleaching agent on is kind of the part of the secret, right? You leave it on too long and the tips can become brittle and break because they've been affected so much. They can actually lose a little bit of that tip feel. You leave it on very little and you're kind of ended up with something like this, with a lot of natural tip feel, but not super soft. You try to find that, some people try to find that sweet spot where you get a good bit of soft gel once they're wet, you get a good bit of soft gel and soft feeling, but they're still kind of stable, and the brush is not gonna die, in 4 years, that kind of thing. And so we use the chemicals now to try to accelerate the tips with what used to take a decade or two to make a badger brush do that. All right. With my face rinsed, rinse felt terrific, very smooth feeling. Going to use some of the Thayer's Aloe type solution. There's a little bit of witch hazel in it. It's the lavender one. And it's not, the lavender's not, it's very mild, very low strength, and so it's not getting in the way. I haven't had it get in the way of anything yet, so that's good. And I don't really think I needed anything else. I didn't need any more healing that a balm might provide, but I also didn't need the scent strength, because I'm about to go to bed, of an aftershave splash. Well, there we go. The razor is very nice in use with the spoiler, the 15 UK Gillette Aristocrat. It's always been just a terrific piece. It's on the expensive side, but I consider it almost like jewelry that you get to use as often as you want, daily even. You know, some people buy a bracelet and they bring it out on, once every 6 months because it's special, but this you could use every day if you wanted to, keep it out and display it. And then and it's also involved in a sensory experience with the soap and the brush and all the scents going on, the feel of the brush. It's part of that experience, and a neat piece of history as well. So I think that's kind of money well spent to some degree if you can afford it. 20 milliliters of water used, 35-second load, and I think we're in good shape today. I believe that is all for today. Very good experience. Could this soap be one that is a top favorite of mine of all time? I don't think so. Could I easily use it if I was stranded on a desert island and that's the only one I had? Definitely, and I'd have a great time doing it. Could it also be a soap that I use for a week straight and my nose gets used to it and starts to appreciate different things about it? Yeah, it really could. Really could. Will I definitely be thinking about it in the Christmas time? For sure, because it does lend itself to that. But I really am not going to hesitate to whip it out any time of the year if the mood strikes me. Yeah, so there we go. That's today. Continuing to think and ponder about the Paladin. Quality of their brushes is terrific. It's just that, they designed this one without super soft tips and with this particular shaped handle that's really kind of on the short and stubby side, and those just don't quite match what I'm looking for in a brush. So that's why it's been a bit of a challenge to find a Paladin that matches me. All right, I think that'll be good. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves, and I hope all the best for you and your family this spring. Take care now, and I hope this video helps you out in some way with your shaving. Take care now. Good night.